Howdy, I'm CharLee Simons, and yep, here's Spike. There's a Spike sighting. Thanks, buddy boy. Appreciate it very much. That particular side of my face needed some cleaning, apparently. I host Do Not Talk, talking about the things you're not supposed to talk about, politics and religion, talking to the people I'm not supposed to talk to. Somebody who's hated by the media is back on the show today on this media right here, the alternative media. His name is Josh Bernstein, making his return to Do Not Talk. Thank you very much for supporting this show, liking and sharing these shows. That's how we get the word out that there's a new show on. I had lost 40,000 people on Facebook when Facebook deleted all of my pages and Instagram. Meta, kinder and gentler, right? No, wrong, worse. There's so much censoring going on now more than ever. These people are liars. They're doing their father's work just as quickly as possible, for his time is short, and he is the father of lies. That's the media, period. President Trump was right. They are the enemy of the people, and so is alternative media, so is social media, much of it. How do we come back from, I don't know, this? Todd Spears did this show, and I just thought it was so great, and I want you to watch this and see what you think of it, because this just happened.
Here's your monthly therapy session. I guarantee you, within 60 seconds, I can make you feel better about yourself. You ready? Here we go.
Someone was voted for her to be the nominee.
Yes, they did.
Isn't that what, authoritarian?
You're going down the wrong road right now with me.
So use it while you've got it if you want to keep it.
I want Trump to know we don't want a king.
But when you fabulous, ladies, fabulous.
I think it means that the Dow is over 50,000, so that's what we should be paying attention to right now, okay?
I gotta say, you're one of the freakiest trans people I've ever seen in my life. I gotta say,
with the flaming rump debut and the accompanying lice agents.
Knowing that the U.S. will never be free until the stewardship of this land is returned to its indigenous peoples.
That we will never leave the side of our Somali Minnesotans.
See? That's why I like the No Kings protest, because anytime I feel bad about myself, I just look at a liberal. Don't you feel better?
Yes, I feel much better. Thank you, Todd. Todd Spears. You'll find him on Rumble and on TikTok. And Josh Bernstein, I want to get him in the mix, because I want to discuss, how do we come back from that? When there's so many people who are just willing to roll right over and get right in line with protesting No Kings, while the irony of it all never seems to hit them that if we actually had a king, they wouldn't be able to go out there and protest, would they now? All right, let's do it. Hit it.
Yeah!
What's up, buddy boy? Welcome back to the big old bad old broadcast.
Great to be back on with you. I got to say, with the whole No Kings thing, it's like anyone that says, no kings, you walk up to me and you go, well, how come you're not protesting King Charles? Argument over. It's over right then and there.
No kings in England. What are they calling it over there?
Exactly. Yeah. These people are just absolutely insane. Make insane asylums great again. Put them all in it. Pump them full of Thorazine so they never see the light of day ever again. And that's what we used to do in the old days. It may sound cruel, but it's not. These people are absolutely insane. And I think a lot of it honestly has to do with the Karens and the nose ring mafia. And I think that those septic rings are causing some type of bacterial meningitis into their brains that is giving them super what do you call it, the medicine that's resistant. I can't think of that word. Antibiotic resistance. Yeah, like stage 10 TDS basically from these nose rings going directly into their septum and into their
look
brain.
at the education that they've had. I decided to look up the word fascist. I looked it up in today's dictionaries, and it was like far right wing, totalitarian government, complete control, far right wing is what they were all saying in when I was looking up. Then I went older. I went to a dictionary from 1969, and it said the same thing, far right wing, totalitarian government. So then I went to a dictionary even older than that, 1959. And it says, hold on a second. Got to put on my second pair of eyes. Fascism, Nazism, dictatorship, totalitarianism, violence from the government. Nazism, as they know then in 1959, because they were only 14 years out from the end of the Second World War, was socialist. That's what Nazi stands for. National Socialism.
National Socialism, exactly.
But yet these people have been educated, and I was too. I was about the time, I'm old enough that it was right about the time that the teachers, instructors, and professors all started saying, well, Nazi is far right. Well, then what about Italy? What about fascism in Italy? Were they on the far right? No. That was very, very left. And the communism in Russia and Stalin and Mao Zedong murdering 60 million of his own people to usher in communism. That's all fascism.
Exactly.
That's all fascism. That's control of the government. You're going to do it our way or no way. And if you try to resist, we will kill you. That's fascism. So these idiots are all going around calling President Trump, my president, our president, a fascist. It's
really just absolutely insane. And the thing is, it starts even further back, because remember the whole red-blue thing, right? We used to be the quote, the blue ones, right? And they were the reds, they were the commies. And so they obviously flipped that and turned us to the red and them to the blue. So that's part of it right there. But you're right, Nazis,
in the early 70s.
the Nazis were socialists, which were leftists, right? Hitler was a socialist, Nazi, leftist, and that's what National Socialism, that's what Nazi is abbreviated for, right? And so what's the difference? That's what I would always say to these people. Well, if President Trump is a fascist, which of course he's not, but let's just say that he is, and you're a socialist, which you admit that you are, or a communist, what's the difference? You both want to take away property, you both want to take away rights, you both want, the government to run everything top down. So what exactly is the difference here? And of course they can never answer that question. The bottom line is, we don't have a Democratic Party, we have a Communist Party that wants to take over. And it's being run by the Democrat Socialists of America, which I have called for numerous times for President Trump to designate as a terrorist organization. They are, basically like the cuckoo bird. I've explained this as well. The cuckoo bird likes to lay their eggs in another nest of another bird. So in other words, they're infiltrators, right? So they lay the nest, then they watch the babies, and the babies grow. And what do? They kick out the native birds and they take over the nest. That's what's happening to the Democratic Party with the DSA and the Communist Party USA. And that's the problem. And they need to be designated as terrorist organizations, because if they are, well, now you've got Bessent, you've got Treasury, you've got everybody else opening up the books, going into their finances, and you can shut down these subversive organizations.
That's how you don't take up arms. You cut off the money, and that's what's happening. USAID that was beautiful. The USAID, taking that down, starting with that was fantastic. Bringing in Doge, the Department of Government Efficiency.
Yeah, no one talks about Doge anymore.
No, and it's still operating. It's still doing its thing. But we need a Congress that's going to follow through and actually press charges and bring these people in for questioning. Instead, they're all concentrating and focusing all their efforts on Epstein. And I mean, if you're going to bring the Clintons in to question them about anything, question them about the Clinton Foundation and all the fraud and corruption.
The largest money laundering operation in U.S. history, masquerading as a legitimate organization. I mean, more money went through that State Department and through that Clinton Foundation than anywhere else in the world, practically. Billions and billions of dollars from the Soros to the Tides Foundations to all these other foreign countries. They all just, boom, poured in billions and billions of dollars into that. And they got kickbacks and they got favors and they got preferential treatment and all those things as well. So, yeah, the Clintons are pretty bad. But, bringing that up right now, there is a actual jihadist. I talked about this on my show yesterday. An actual jihadist running for the Senate in Michigan. His name is Abdul El Sayed, and he's not new to the scene. I remember covering him back in 2020, 2021 when he ran for the Senate then, but of course he didn't have as much traction. Now he might win the primary, and there's an audio recording that they caught where he said that his constituents and the people that he represents in Dearbornistan, Michigan, were, quote, sad that the Ali Khamenei was killed. And they caught him on a hot mic talking about it. Then he's worried about the media questioning him on this and on Israel. And on the recording, he says, I'll immediately pivot to Trump being a pedophile and in the Epstein files. So you're right. This is their race card. The Epstein files has become the left's quote unquote race card. And we always say that they like to use race immediately when they don't want to deal with an issue or subject matter. Well, they're doing the same thing. They've got nothing to run on. They've got no policies that anyone would, with a straight mind, would ever want to embrace. And so they have nothing left. So what are they doing? They're latching on to this Epstein thing, which meanwhile, 75% of them are actually in those files. And Trump is not in those files. So it's just it's subversive behavior. But it's the type of behavior that you see in places like Iran. What is the difference between and I'll say this, and this is why I'm so censored. What is the difference between the Democratic Party of 2026 right now and the IRGC, the Iranian regime, Al Qaeda, ISIS, Boko Haram, Hezbollah, Hamas? I don't see a difference. They both use fear tactics and terrorism to try to get what they want. They
hide behind children.
They hide behind children, obviously. They sexually mutilate children. That's how much they care about kids. Not to mention they abort them on the day that they're born, right? The first gasp of air, and then boom, they kill them. So they are a demonic entity in and of themselves. And again, as I said, what is the difference? The only difference between the United States Democrats and these foreign, terrorist groups are the fact that in America we have a Second Amendment. That's the only difference. Only difference I can see. And I have no problem saying that publicly.
I also want to remind you that you're the one who said that Maduro was coming down, the Venezuelan regime was coming down. That was before it actually went down. And I was like, oh, okay, well, we'll see. That'd be nice. But, oh, shoot, it happened.
Mm-hmm. I even, you know what? Not only did it happen, I was 1 day off. When I said it was going to happen. I said, well, here's the thing. No, I want to be perfectly accurate. I said he won't last till Christmas, and he lasted till January 3rd. And I think the only reason for that was, again, during the holidays and the New Year and everything else. But then January 3rd, boom, gone, right? And I said that's exactly what was going to happen. I said by Christmas, so I was about 6 or 7 days off. I apologize.
And you also mentioned Iran, and you also mentioned Cuba, and lo and behold.
And Iran, I was even closer, and my audience will know this. I said I would say by March 1st is when that attack is going to start. It happened on February 28th, the day before, and I said he's going to do his State of the Union address first. He's probably not going to talk about Iran. He's going to talk about all the accomplishments that he did, and that's exactly what he did. And then, sure enough, 3 o'clock in the morning, February 28th or whatever it was. So maybe I was right. Because, yeah, maybe it was actually March 1st. But whatever. I think I was a day off on that as well. And, the whole thing with Iran, people need to understand. He's lying. The president is thankfully lying to the media, to the Democrats, and to the country. And God bless him for doing so. We are witnessing the greatest shadow diplomacy we have ever seen in recorded history. This is the art of the deal happening right now. And let's talk about this real quick. June, the 12-day war. Well, we're negotiating. They want to make a deal. We'll see what happens. Well, we saw what happened, right? obliterated their nuclear program. February 28th, a few days leading up to that, well, they want to make a deal. We'll see what happens. We're talking to them, this and that. Boom, 50, including the Ayatollah, gone, wiped out immediately. Now, well, we had a couple more weeks left in this war. We'll see what happens. They're desperate to make a deal. They gave us a present of oil tankers. They're working with us. We're talking to this new regime. Boom. He's not talking to anyone, okay? I'll tell you right now. According to my officials, former IDF officials and things like that, he's not talking to anyone. He is creating paranoia within the IRGC. That's what's left, okay? And they're going, well, I'm not talking to him. Arachi's not talking to him. Pazekian's not talking to him. Who's talking? Who's talking to this man? This madman that wants us all dead, right? This is what he's doing. He's sowing the paranoia so that they don't trust each other. And that's how another way that this is going to implode. Although I do think you're going to have boots on the ground, and I do believe they'll be mid-April to late April.
You think so? I
do.
They keep President Trump keeps changing deadlines. First, it was like they have 7 days to comply, and then it's like, well, okay, we're going to make it 10 days. I was convinced that it's because we had yet another aircraft carrier, our biggest and most powerful, steaming to the Strait of Hormuz, and he needed to buy some time because it was about 5 or 6 days out. I felt that that's what that was all about, to wait until we're, militarily in a position to really take them out if we have to, if we can't open up that Strait of Hormuz. He's taken a hit in the polls because of here in California, it's $6 and even in some places $7 a gallon for fuel now. A lot of that is $2 worth of taxes.
Oh, at least
per gallon, which has been improperly or as far
unconstitutional.
Unconstitutionally inflated pricing through taxation that to make President Trump look bad. Oh, I thought he was going to bring down fuel prices. Well, he did.
Well, they're trying to force people. They're trying to force people on green energy garbage. That's what they're doing. You see, the left at the climate Nazis, as I like to call them, their real goal here isn't to just, control climate change or whatever this other garbage is. It is the complete industrialization of the United States of America. And that starts with, of course, getting rid of combustible engines, right? And those type gas-powered engines and things like that. And they want everybody to go on green energy.
Second here, let me throw this out why I think that is. It's not because they care about the environment. That's a lie.
No, they don't care about the environment. If they really
cared about the environment, they wouldn't be pushing electric vehicles. There are far other better, more economically and friendlier ways to treat the environment than electric vehicles, because the batteries alone are so wasteful, and we're just making a whole bunch of disposable golf carts basically with nice radio and air conditioning, and that's all they are, because good luck later on trying to sell that when somebody has to try and replace the batteries. The cost is insane.
$20-something thousand
coming from China now. We're not making our own batteries here, and it is incredibly wasteful. Electric vehicles is not the future if you're being friendly to the environment. So that's a lie.
Yeah.
I really believe that the whole reason is much, much deeper, Josh. I'm convinced the whole New World Order, one world government crap, you can shut down vehicles, electric vehicles, easily and quickly anytime you want. Whereas if I have a gas-powered vehicle and my 58 T-Bird that I'm restoring, you're not going to be able to shut that down with satellites or with anything else. Maybe an EMP, that would be about it. But you're not going to shut that vehicle down. As long as I have fuel, I can still get around. They want to be able to completely control us. This is all about the smart cities.
Clearly.
And the smart cities is what this is. So much of this is about in California. Get us into vehicles that are easy to control, get us into public transportation, whether we like it or not. That's the high-speed rail boondoggle in California, the multi-billion-dollar waste and fraud scheme with not an inch of track laid yet. And after all these years, 12 years now, it's all a plan to make us completely dependent on the government. That's the bottom
Absolutely,
line.
100% agree with
We
you.
will
As a matter of
nothing
fact,
and be happy. We will have nothing and be happy.
yeah, and that's what the World Economic Forum was saying.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
you live in California, so you would know that I don't know if this is the case still, but can you even adjust the heat or air conditioning in your home, or is it done through a central location where they control how much you can use? I know that they obviously were cutting down on water being able to be used in showers daily and everything else. I mean, so they've been doing this for years and years and years. This isn't something that they woke up last week and decided to do. This has been decades in the making, and it's like the lobster who doesn't know he's being boiled until it's too late. That's what's happening in California and a lot of blue states. Because, like I said, I think the end goal is horse and buggy, or whatever. I mean, they don't want the gas-powered vehicles anymore, and they're trying to get rid of them all. But you're right
That's
about
freedom.
the environment.
That's
Less freedom, less
nothing to do
movement,
with the environment.
less movement. Less movement.
So this is great. I see President Trump taking out these totalitarian, truly fascist regimes, starting with Venezuela, now Iran, and then Cuba. I don't know how it's going to all go down in Cuba, but I do believe it is, because
Cuba's going to be easier, much easier.
They're in the dark now. They have no oil coming in because they were dependent on Venezuela for everything. And that's been cut off. China was dependent on Iran for the majority of their oil. That's been cut off. So these big, powerful communist governments are being taken out.
They are.
We're doing it financially. We're doing it financially, with the exception of Iran, where definitely weapons have been used. But why would there be boots on the ground? Why do you think that would
because
be
these people are in caves underground, and if we don't get to all of them, then they're going to regroup and they're going to come back and they're going to continue to kill all of these people. I mean, Reza Pahlavi spoke at CPAC, and I knew a lot about what he was saying.
Son of the former Shah of Iran.
Yeah. And he actually said that the IRGC was charging the parents of the people who were killed for the bullets used to kill them. He literally said that in his speech. Now, that's only part of it. What about the fact that they were literally going into the hospitals, raping the nurses, and shooting and executing the doctors that were performing surgeries to save these people's lives, and then going around the hospital beds with these people on their gurneys and just shooting them dead right then and there. And they did this all over everywhere. Okay, and this is all was led by the IRGC. The person in charge of the country right now is not Pazakian, who's supposedly the president. It's not Aragachi or anyone else. It's this guy by the name of Ahmad Vahidi. Ahmad Vahidi has been with the Khomeinis since 1988, 1989, since the beginning, since the inception. He was Qasem Soleimani's right-hand man. Everything he learned from Qasem Soleimani, who thankfully is now, no longer with us either. And so he's the number one target that they have to go after. And no one's really talking about Vahidi, but he's the number one target that is still running things in Iran, and that is why we have to have boots on the ground. Now, I think what we may end up doing here, and this is something I talked about on another show, is because of the political fallout of having, quote, boots on the ground in Iran, I think you're going to see the IDF actually put the boots on the actual ground mainland, and I think the boys are going to go and take Karg Island. And that's technically not on mainland Iran, so there's your boots on the ground, but not right on the mainland. I think they're going to take Karg.
And by the way, the
18 miles.
Here's some conservative talk show host on the radio going on and ripping everybody who was calling it the Straits of Hormuz. Well, if you look at original charts, naval charts, that's what it's called, because of that big island right in the middle, split the strait, so it became the Straits of Hormuz. So technically, you call it Straits of Hormuz, you're being correct in calling it that, but he was lambasting all of us for calling it, and we were so stupid. And that's the media in general. It's hit a new low. Watching all these networks trying to now make their newscasts look like they're doing a podcast. Have you seen that?
Yeah, the whole thing is just weird. I mean, you even have Sean Hannity trying to copy Bill Maher. I said that to my wife the other day. So many of them are trying to do it. Look, if you're in a newsroom, you're in a newsroom. I mean, that is like the top echelon if you're giving truthful, real, accurate news, right? But they're not doing that. So they're getting fired, right? Don Lemon and everything else. All these different people being fired. And what are they doing? Jim Acosta, the rest of them? They're doing their own shows on smaller, websites and things like that, which is fine. Hey, everyone can have a voice. I get it. But the reason you're not on the networks anymore, Cuomo and the rest of you, is because you're liars, because you're prostitutes. That's why. So now you don't have any accountability, so you can then be a prostitute in your own private way.
Prostitute,
and that's what it's all about.
How about the Republican Party itself? John Thune, who's the majority leader in the Senate, while saying that, we don't have time to bring the Save America Act to a vote, is hosting a dog show for all the other fellow Republican senators, letting them bring their dogs into the House. And it was just all a fun little party. And now they've gone on recess like they're frickin'
like they work in the first place.
Like they're elementary school children. They get recess, 2-week recess for what I call the Resurrection Sunday, not Easter. I don't use that word. But they're on recess. They've just left, and everybody's talking about this. Well, wait, what? We got this. This is a huge thing. We need this. We need voter ID. We need that to be approved nationally so that we can protect the election that's coming up, the midterms, for heaven's sake, that are so dang crucial and vital. And our own Republican Senate has left the building.
They certainly have. They left the building a long time ago, too. They did this one big, beautiful bill, and they got it done, and there's a lot of great things in it. But what was the one thing missing from it that I was screaming at the top of my lungs at the time? Put election integrity in it, because you can't come back to it later, because they're going to say, it's too close to the election time, and then we're going to get what. And so I was saying that all along. They didn't do it. They did tax cuts. They did spending. And I said back then, none of that stuff matters. The only thing that matters is securing our elections. Every single modern country on earth, even some of the communist countries, they all have voter ID. There is no reason that we shouldn't. 85 plus Americans want it. It's not even a controversial thing. So it's just ridiculous. They tried to pull a fast one because they tried to do a vote based on just only voter ID, no mail-in ballot stuff involved, nothing having to prove citizenship, and even that failed. And the thing is that there was at least 10 Democrats that were on record in 2025 and 2026 saying that if a vote comes up in the Senate for voter ID, I will vote yes on it. So John Husted, the former Secretary of State in Ohio, now Senator, said, all right, fine, let's at least get voter ID. Now, I didn't think it was going to pass. I thought it was going to be 57, 58 votes. But 47, including the wonderful moderate, I'm being facetious, John Fetterman, all 47 said no to voter ID. That goes to show you, A, they want to continue to cheat in elections, and B, they're not serious about doing this. So the only ones that we have two choices. You either do a talking filibuster or a sitting filibuster because you're octogenarians and old and lazy, and that's what the alternative to the talking filibuster is possibly going to be. And you get 50 plus 1 and you get it done. Or we switch leadership, and that I think is going to be what we're going to need to do here, because John Thune is just an absolute disaster. He is Mitch McConnell's bitch, basically. Learned every dirty trick from the Kentucky Fried Chicken, as I like to call him. And, it's just ridiculous. And so I'm telling everybody, go to contactyourrep.com, contactyourrep.com, and hit every single Republican senator and ask them, call their offices, email them, and say, are you willing to go on record saying that you are willing to use the talking filibuster in order to pass the Save America Act? And we don't have a lot of time. I know President Trump just put out a thing today saying June 1 is when he wants DHS and ICE and everything else funded. What the hell, President? Why didn't you also add the SAVE Act into that? How did you make a public statement like that and not put the most important thing that's going to help you continue your presidency, which is the Save America Act? This is unbelievable. So I reached out to him and some of his folks and said, hey, revise that message and say you expect the SAVE Act in it. So we'll see what happens if he ends up doing that. But if we have to get new leadership, it's not that hard to do. We just got rid of Kevin McCarthy.
House Representatives.
Yeah, we got it with Kevin McCarthy and Matt Gaetz a year and a half ago, or whatever it was, 2 years ago. And so all you need is 5 senators. And I think the best 5 are Mike Lee, Marsha Blackburn, Ron Johnson, Rick Scott, and Ted Cruz. I think those 5, if they force a vote, then you have 27 votes needed in a private ballot, secured ballot where they don't know, it's not public, and you need 27 votes to pick a new leader. I would love to see Mike Lee take over the Senate Majority Leader position, but I don't think he would, unfortunately. I think it would be Rick Scott, but that's okay because Rick Scott is solidly behind the SAVE Act as well. We need a new Senate Majority Leader as well. So you have 2 choices, Republicans. You either do the talking filibuster and get this thing done, or you get new leadership, because if you try to not do one of those, then the next step is going to be showing up in front of your homes at 3 a.m. with loudspeakers on repeat, pass the SAVE Act on repeat at 3 a.m. That's what's coming next.
I believe the reason why President Trump did not include in that deadline, June 1st deadline, the Save America Act is because he's got an executive order that's going to blow it all away.
No.
I really think, I hate to see executive orders used, but
it's not going to work.
Why wouldn't it?
Because Mark Elias, that cheeseburger-eating thunder thighs scumbag that's been stealing elections for many, many decades, has already said he's filing a lawsuit. Not to mention all the Democrat attorney generals are already lining up to do a lawsuit against it as well. And so it's going to get tied up in the courts. And that means there's going to be an injunction. And when that injunction happens, it's going to be suspended. In other words, it's not going to be able to be put into place to be able to do it.
Unless it goes to the Supreme Court.
But it would have to be an ex parte immediate petition directly to the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court's probably not going to take the case because they don't like to overstep the bounds of the lower courts. They're going to say, nah, let it go through the lower courts. Now what happens? Time is a-ticking. We're getting closer to the election, and all of a sudden, we're effed. So, again, this is not a solution. I don't want people to think this is a solution because it's absolutely not. And by the way, even if it was only for mail-in ballots. Okay, fine, that's great. But it wasn't for everything else. So this is a punt in a lot of ways, and we need to keep the focus on the Senate Republicans to get this done. We have got to get this done.
You think President Trump can get fuel prices in line and the economy running better and all the things that are causing his poll numbers to drop so dramatically? You think he's going to be able to do that in time for the primaries come June 2nd?
Well, the primaries, I don't know. But as far as the midterms, I would assume yes. But right now, I mean, look, the clock is ticking right now. We've got, a maximum of 90 days that we're allowed to be in Iran, right? You've got the War Times Powers Act, gives you 30 days. You don't need Congress. You can get an extension for 2 more months. After 90 days, that's it. It's over, right? So we're nowhere near the 90-day mark. I guess May 28th, right, would be the 90-day mark. So this war is going to be over by May 28th or a lot sooner. But again, once it's over, that's when gas prices are going to start to go down, obviously. And that's going to be leading up. My problem is, if that happens, that's wonderful, that's great. What about the SAVE Act in all of this? And let's not forget he's going to immediately start with Cuba. So he's going to start with Cuba. That could reset the clock a little bit longer. But look, if we have the SAVE Act, I don't care what the gas prices are. Sorry you're in California, but short-term pain for long-term gain here. Okay, it doesn't really matter. I would rather not have a nuclear threat from the Iranian regime and have higher gas prices. But most Americans are impatient. And I said this before, and I'll say it again on so many different shows. If we are impatient, we are going to vote ourselves into tyranny.
Yep. Exactly what I'm afraid is going to happen. I don't have a lot of confidence in my fellow man in the United States of America. I just don't. Maybe I've been in the media too long and I'm jaded, but I see we have a long history of doing very stupid things and putting very horrible people into positions of tremendous power, especially here in California. It seems to be downright a disease to put in stupid people into elected positions. And come June 2nd, that's our primary here. We have a jungle primary here. So the top 2 vote getters go on to the big election in November, regardless of what party they're affiliated with. That has been the ruination of the Republican Party in California. That little thing right there. So
well,
that's got to go away. But I just don't, I don't know. California is not a swing state, I guess. We don't really matter when it comes to presidential elections, but
if you had election integrity throughout the country, real election integrity, then I would say that Hilton and Blanco, or whatever his name is, would actually have Bianca would actually have a shot. But when you have people set up in Skid Row, getting drugs, alcohol, cigarettes, and taking, real ballots, people's names, and just filling them out and paying people to do it in broad daylight, nonetheless. Where are the arrests? Where is Essley, right? The guy that's supposedly the Attorney General of California, not the Attorney General, but the prosecutor for the Trump administration in California. Where is this guy? Why aren't these people being arrested on the spot during the daytime while they are committing crimes live, right on camera, and right in the middle of the daytime? This is how brazen things have gotten, especially in California. So I don't care what the polls say. I don't care if it shows Republicans up 40, 50, 60 points. They're not going to win statewide election with that kind of stuff going on. What, are you kidding me? So again, I'm not trying to, yeah, exactly. Your dog's right. But no, seriously, I'm not trying to make some circus lemonade here for you. But the reality is that until there's real voter ID, your dog's right. It's not going to happen as bad as we want it to happen.
Sorry about that.
That's all right. He's being a critic.
Somebody rings the doorbell and the dog turns into a Rottweiler. The little Chihuahua mix is
and we've got 3 of them, so.
Cujo.
I just have a soundproof studio in the back of my house.
For we Californians, probably the best alternative is to get out. I don't see a light at the end of the tunnel here, and everybody's all giddy. Well, the top 2 polling for the governor's race are both Republicans. We're going to have 2 Republicans going for the governor race in November. This is going to be fantastic. Either way, we're going to get a Republican governor. Well, we've had a few Republican governors, and they were definitely, if you looked up rhino in the 1959 dictionary, you'd see their pictures as babies. We've had a lot of rhinos here and still do. The whole party's permeated with them, as a matter of fact, in California.
It's terrible.
I don't know. The only light at the end of the tunnel anymore is to get out. 52,000 people left Los Angeles so far just this year. And
skip over Arizona, please.
Crazy.
Go to other blue
Arizona,
go to other blue S-holes, please.
I don't blame you. I don't blame you. We Californians seem to be good at ruining everything that we touch. We do. We don't.
Yeah, look at Colorado.
We don't have any sense of self-realization that possibly our own stupidity that ruined where we lived, and we so badly that
it's terrible here. Let's go make it terrible over there.
Let's go make it terrible over there. Exactly.
We should have a law that states that anyone that's moving within 6 months of an upcoming election is not allowed to vote in that state's next election until the following election cycle. That way you would have a lot of people, like for instance what happened in Georgia. People were coming in and they were registering an address or a P.O. box in Georgia, and they were voting up a storm. And then once the election, they were gone again. We've got to stop that. We've got to get rid of, this ability to not have all the votes in by midnight. They all should have to report at the exact same time, so you don't have sandbagging, right? That happens all the time. You see all the red counties and they show all the votes in the red counties, and they go, wow, we're killing them. We're up by 12 percentage points, right? And then the next thing you know, you see blue Fulton County that hasn't reported yet. You know why? Because they're counting how many more fake votes do we need in order to say, report to the media that it was a hair close race and we just barely won by a tiny bit. Whew, it was real close. Yeah, right.
That's
we need
a fairly new
rules.
development, and that's because so many of us on the right are realizing, hey, we can't be voting by mail. We're finally waking up that is the most effective way that they have ever come up with to cheat in elections. Even one of the worst presidents this nation has ever had, Jimmy Carter, said that. One of the few good things he said. But it's a new anomaly. All these taking forever to count votes, and that's because we are waiting to vote on election day, and we're actually showing up. We on the right, we're actually showing up. And then they get flooded with all these votes, and they have to come up with all these fake ballots
excuses
to put them in there to counter that. So that's why it's taking weeks and sometimes even months to have the results of a simple.
But that's not true. But here's the thing: that's not actually accurate. It doesn't take that long to add up all the votes. I think what happened in 2024, we sadly had to play the left's game, and we had to vote early. Now, I'm just like you. Vote on election day and overpower them and win. We're behind a little bit, and then boom, we just crush them. But we were noticing that they were cheating, and they kept cheating throughout the entire process. Our real issue here is early voting. We need to eliminate early voting, or at least make it 6-7 days maximum throughout the entire country that you're allowed to vote early. Not voting season, 2 months in North Carolina, really? A month in all these other states? Why are we having voting season? And here's another thing I don't agree with, where a lot of people on the right and America First agree with. They think we should have a, quote, election day. Absolutely not. If you have an election day where everyone's off and everyone goes to vote, who do you think's going to come out? The left is going to come out in big, big numbers. Well, it's election day and I don't have to work. Not that they probably work anyway, but it doesn't matter. I wouldn't want that. I always say this. You have a by law mandated 3-hour lunch break on election day. You cannot be fired on election day. So you have all the time in the world to go and vote. You can also vote as early as 6 a.m. in the morning, and you can also vote as late as 7:30, 8 o'clock at night. So all I can say is there's plenty of time to vote. We've been doing it for 100 years like that. And if you can't get out to vote, I don't want you to vote because it probably wasn't important to you. And I certainly don't want some more liberal votes out there.
Right. Oh, I'm so with you on that. You got to have some skin in the game, buddy. We need you to be involved and do your civic duty. I can't even get my own fellow conservatives to register to frickin' vote. Gun owners are the worst. Christians, 40% in California, 40% are registered to vote of those who claim to be Christians.
And hunters. 40%. And hunters. Who cares about the Second Amendment more than hunters? And you can't get them to vote. And they go, well, I don't want to be on any government lists and I want to be off the grid. Are you kidding me? You have to vote. I mean, Pennsylvania, what is it, 800,000 hunters? Wisconsin's like 150 to 200,000. Michigan's 300,000 or 400,000. Could you imagine if all of those hunters were registered and voting Republican? What swing states? They wouldn't exist. They wouldn't exist. It drives me crazy because I have all the solutions. All the solutions that we're talking about are right here in Preserving Liberty.
Hold that up again. I want everybody to see your book and get your book, Preserving Liberty, Josh Bernstein.
Bold and brave solutions to save America and create permanent freedom. You can go to Amazon. You can pick up a copy of it, or if you join my Substack, which is jbushow.substack.com, and it's only $49 for the entire year. That equates to only $4.08 a month. You get 7 to 10 shows a week. Sometimes I do 2-3 shows a week. Some of them are free, but most of them are behind a paywall. And you get a free copy of the book, a digital PDF copy that I email everyone that joins. So you're going to get a ton of content. You're going to get a lot of information that is just like, what? I never heard that before, or I never heard of that idea before. And I've been an activist for over 14 years, and it's because of the things that I come up with and talk about is why I'm so censored. So come help me out, jbushow.substack.com.
jbushow
.substack.com.
Okay.
Yeah.
You know what you need on your show and on your set is one of these mugs.
Yeah, there you go.
Religion, buddy.
That's a good one. I think I have.
There you go.
I have a.
You can get that at my website, CharLeeSimons.com. What's that? Oh, that's your book?
No, that's just. It just says the Josh Bernstein Show. It's an old mug.
Yeah,
that
Let's talk about politics and religion. One more thing. Unless is there something else you wanted to cover?
No.
Okay. I got a couple of friends in the business who've turned into mentors for me in many ways, but yet they still talk about things that make me bristle as a believer, as a follower of Christ Jesus. And that is, they're going on and on about this high universal income, and it's all coming, and the Fed's going down, and we're all going to be incredibly wealthy, and it's all going to be, everything's going to be taken care of. We're all going to be doing so well. We're going to be suddenly wealthy, and it's coming, it's happening in just a month or two, and this is going down. This is all the Q stuff. I don't even know where to find Q. I've listened to, I think, maybe 2 of his broadcasts, whomever he is, only 2 of them, and that was years ago when it first started. And I haven't heard since any of them. So
Yeah.
I don't know all this stuff that they're talking about. Part of the Q Army and all this kind of stuff. The Q team, the Q graduation, whatever it is.
I don't know. And when people ask me about Q, I always say the same thing. It's the 17th letter of the alphabet. That's all. That's all I really know about it.
Right.
I cover things that I cover things that I can document, triple, quadruple check. Accuracy and consistency. Those are the 2 tenets of being successful when you are being censored, as I am and have been for many, many years. How do you have an audience at all? Being consistent and being accurate and being truthful. And that's what I've always done. I don't do conspiracy stuff or anything like that. There are some interesting, coincidences at least that have been put out there and things like that. But again, we're not seeing anyone being perp walked. I remember the videos from years ago, Obama, Hillary, Brennan, Clapper, Comey, they're all being perp walked. It's an AI video in the beginning of AI, and everyone's being perp walked and put into paddy wagons and taken off. It's wishful thinking. God, I hope it happens. Maybe it will. I don't know. But again, I don't put a lot of
I hope
a lot of stock in it.
Until it happens, I'm watching my own fellow conservatives get incredibly discouraged because it isn't. So much so that they're talking about not even showing up and voting in the midterm election, which would be death. Death to them.
Oh, it would be. But that's the thing. You got to understand, if we don't pass the SAVE Act, MAGA is going to be like, well, if you're not going to, secure the votes, why are we going to go out and vote? And that, I agree with you. That is the wrong idea. But that's what the left and the establishment wants to happen. They want you to have that feeling where your vote doesn't count, that you have no voice, that a mass amount of people coming together and voting overwhelmingly to, quote, stop the steal, as we did in 2024, can't work. They want you to think that. That's why they're doing what they're doing. They want to discourage you. It's part of the psyops against MAGA and America First. And if people don't understand that the entire Republican Party is not all MAGA, I mean, most of it is, but it's the people, sadly, in control and in charge that are ruling MAGA right now, and that's the establishment. And that's why we have to have our voices heard, and we have to use guerrilla tactics, if necessary, to get it done. Even Scott Pressler, who's usually not a pretty aggressive person. I mean, he's good at getting people registered and getting the vote out and flipping so many states in Pennsylvania. God bless him for doing so. He gave, helped get the election to President Trump. But even he went on television about a week or 2 ago and said, we're going to set up rallies in their backyards, behind their homes. And so I'm like, yes, let's do it. Let's absolutely do it. Those are the things that we've done for years. I've been part of for many, many years. I mean, it wouldn't be the first time we've done guerrilla tactics to get
the way
things
the
done.
left has been operating, showing up at Supreme Court justices' houses all night long, screaming, squealing, crying, flailing, gnashing of teeth. That's the way the left has been doing it for decades.
Yeah, and they're getting paid to do it. That's the difference.
And they're getting
We're not
paid.
getting paid to do it. It would be on our own time. But meanwhile, we have real jobs. We work. We contribute to society. We contribute to the economy. These people are on welfare, and they're not doing anything. They're hiding out in their mom's basements, or they're retired Karens that are getting government checks and have time to do this and put it all together. But look, the bottom line is none of what we saw with the No Queens rallies, none of it was real. None of it. It was all AstroTurf. There is not that many people that think that the president is a king, number one. And who can afford all of those extravagant costumes and dressing up as sheep and all this other crazy stuff and dancing, and all the signs look brand new, meticulous. They all look the same. This is Neville Singham, courtesy of the Los Angeles riots. He brought you No Kings as well. And this is George Soros and the Open Society Institute. That's where the money is coming from. Why these two are not in handcuffs right now is beyond me. President Trump should call Xi Jinping and say, look, you want to negotiate on tariffs? I'll tell you what, I'll give you a 5% less tariff or 10% less tariff. You give me Neville Singham right here. I want him hand-delivered in America so I can put him in handcuffs and in jail for the rest of his life.
I've been saying that very same thing for so long now. It's been really frustrating. I thought it was going to happen right out of the gate once we got rid of Joe Biden in that 4-year reign of terror. I thought, okay, Soros is being taken down. And I'll tell you what, why don't you take all that wealth that he has questionably attained and disperse it amongst us? That'd be nice.
Mm-hmm.
Take that away. But I don't know, maybe that's fascism.
Well, look, I think when people are actively working to overthrow the United States government, that's treason. U.S. Code 182381.
That's the answer.
And I think you can charge people with treason. Problem is, we don't give the ultimate punishment that treason, merits out anymore, unfortunately. And we barely use the charge in and of itself.
Firing squad or hanging.
Yep.
One report I just saw today, a friend of mine, I'm not going to name names. Anyway, he had a guest on who was showing photos and satellite stuff, and that there's actually gallows set up at the White House, and that all these people we're talking about, names that we've already mentioned, are already taken out. They're already dead. They're gone. And the clone thing and the lizard people, and it's just overwhelming. It's getting so crazy. And aliens coming down. And my response to that has been, you know what? When the rapture happens, and those of us who are of Christ Jesus are taken away with him up into the clouds in the air, and there we will remain with him always. Wherever he is, we will be. And we know, according to the scripture, he will be reigning on earth. And God's will be done on earth as it is in heaven. But when that happens, we have a whole group of huge amount of people who are already set up to believe, well, aliens took them, or the lizard people took them out, or those were the bad people who were taken away by the authorities. They're already setting up reasons to explain the rapture. That to me is what that's all about. And these are people I like, and I wish they weren't talking this way, but they do. And it's also dad blame confusing. So that's why I like talking to you, Josh, because like me, you want to see receipts. You're not just going to rush to judgment and get something on the air just for clicks and likes.
No, I've never done that.
No, I don't either. I don't have people on, and I don't try and get guests on just so I can build my base. I'm not that guy. I'm so much more interested in truth, and I want to know what's really going on. So you've explained some great stuff here. If this whole currency thing comes down and we're all taken care of by the government, how is that any different than what was promised in communism for a century now? Well, how is that any different that the government will take care of you? You're all going to have universal income, high universal income. And
why would anyone want that?
is that not any different from what Klaus Schwab was saying with the World Economic Forum? You will own nothing and be happy. Is that not the same thing?
It's totally the same thing. Universal basic income, I talk about in the book. I mean, that is Cloward and Piven 101. Right? Cloward and Piven strategy. Those were the two sociology professors from NYU that wrote an article called The Weight in The Nation magazine many, many years ago in the 60s. And they said there are X amount of people that are not on the public dole. Let's find them. Let's make sure that they are on the public dole so that we can then, crush capitalism and the economy and replace it with socialism, which is what? Handing out people, making them dependent on government so they'll continue to vote for us. And now you have a utopian communist society. So universal basic income is the last thing we would ever want to do to be free.
That's what I think too. That's absolutely what I think too. I would love to see.
Problem is nobody can articulate that.
Yes,
that's the problem.
Get rid of the Federal Reserve. Yes, that's a joke. Yes, that is.
We should go back to the gold standard.
And such nothing but to keep us enslaved in debt. And yes, get back to gold and precious metal based and backed currency like it used to be before Richard Nixon did that little sign in that petition to make us basically get us off the gold standard. What a horrific thing. He did so many horrific things.
He did that in ping pong diplomacy, legitimizing the Chinese Communist Party, basically, and the country of China.
That's what I say too.
Yeah, it's all in the book.
They were saying, well, we want to open it up to trade with China. Why? They want to be a closed society. Let them stay closed. Leave them alone. We don't have enough money. We have to now go after their money, and look what has come of all of that.
I cover that in Chapter 6, the China Syndrome. I talk about China and how they are the biggest existential threat to the United States of America. But here's the thing. With the Iran war now, you got to understand, China got 13% from Venezuela, gone. Got 87% from Iran, gone. Now what? Now they don't have any oil, gas, anything for their jets, for their fuel, for their submarines, for their tanks, for their missiles. They don't have anything right now. So we have reset the entire world's order in a year and a half or less. What is it, a year and 3 months?
Was President Trump's plan with the whole thing.
Oh, absolutely.
Venezuela and now coming Cuba. I really believe that.
And they didn't see it coming, which is amazing to me. And we shot down the Chinese-made missiles. So now it makes it seem like China isn't really as tough as they claim to be. Right? A lot of these countries do that. They do the goose walking, right? They show all their missiles and they have these parades. That's why I was against President Trump when he said he wanted military parades. I said, are you crazy? We're going to show, okay, fine. If you want to do that, show 1970s technology. Fine. You want your parade? Go ahead. It's patriotic. Show the old stuff. Don't show any of the new stuff. I don't believe in showing our adversaries what our military arsenal is. So I've always been against the president on that. But these countries like North Korea and their goose stepping, they make it seem like they're strong and and everyone should fear them. Seriously, North Korea, they couldn't hit the Sea of Japan, or actually they can, because every single missile they shoot off goes right in there. So they don't have the capabilities. They don't. They might have nuclear technology, but they don't have the launching capabilities. We ought to go in next at some point before 2028 and use that Havana Syndrome weapon like we used on Maduro, which I believe if we do boots on the ground, we're going to use that weapon again, because you can't shoot, you can't do anything, you're stunned. That's what they did. I mean, you had Cuban security officials. This was from somebody that was in Venezuela that was there the night of the raid. And they said, the Americans came in, there wasn't that many, maybe 40, 50 of them. We were, 300 plus, and we couldn't do anything. We couldn't shoot our weapons, blood pouring from our noses and mouths. We just fell down on the ground. We couldn't do anything. They just walked in without a shot, basically. And boom, just took them.
In and out, 30 minutes.
Yeah. So you can do that with Kim Jong-un. You can do that with the remaining remnants of the Iranian regime. I mean, we can use this weapon to wipe out communism around the world. And I'm not a nation builder. Believe me, I don't like globalism. I don't want our footprints all over the world. I just want people to be free and liberated. And if we have the technology to do it, hell, let's do it. Do it in Cuba too.
And we've neutralized any future threats against us.
Exactly. And that's why I don't understand our side being against this and not understanding, because they can't see past the bridge of their nose. They can't see the future of what this is doing. We're not nation building. We're building up a new nation. And it's going to be not an adversary, but an ally. I mean, Iran is going to be an ally of ours. And here's the other thing nobody is talking about. All of these countries in the Middle East, they're going to be tripping over each other to sign the Abraham Accords. I want to go first. No, you go first. No, I want to be first. Why? Because we saved their asses too, and they know it. And they fear President Trump. So we're going to have permanent peace in the Middle East in due time, as soon as the Iranian regime falls. Because all these countries are going to normalize relationships with Israel. Simple as that.
The Abraham Accords was brilliant. President Trump is
on
brilliant.
steroids. It's coming.
Absolutely.
2027. You'll see.
And do you think that Benjamin Netanyahu is still alive and roaming around the halls of government in Israel?
Yeah, he is. Yeah,
that's another thing I've been hearing too. Oh no,
yeah,
he got sick, or he got killed, or he's dead, or
no, he's fine.
Clone, or that's a lookalike.
Yeah,
I keep hearing this crap from people on my side.
I know. That's the problem. We have a lot of conspiracy theorists on our side, and we need to just kind of, look at these voices and mute them and be like, you don't know what you're talking about. Leave it to the professionals, okay? Leave it to the goats that have been doing this for, decades.
The actual boots on the ground.
Yeah, we've forgotten more than what they know, okay? It's the reality.
Josh, hold up your book again and tell us one more time where to find it. I got to read this.
Thank you. It's Preserving Liberty, Bold and Brave Solutions to Save America and Create Permanent Freedom. And by the way, this is not self-published. Okay, 98% of books these days are all self-published. This went through Skyhorse Publishing, which means it went through a legal review, which means, everything in it is 100% accurate and factual. Roger Stone endorsed the book. Congressman Paul Gosar wrote the foreword to the book. Alan Dershowitz even endorsed the book for its constitutionality. And there's a lot of different things in here. If you like what's going on now, this book shows you how to make it all permanent. And like I said, I had a member of Congress actually do the forward, and he's already introduced two things into Congress. Now, they haven't become law yet, but he's introduced at least two things from that book. So you can go to Barnes & Nobles, Amazon, Target, Walmart, Sam's Club, wherever. Amazon is the best one, though, because that's the one that you can leave reviews and all that. So.
All right, buddy. And your Substack one more time?
Yes, jbushow.substack.com. If you want a copy of the book digitally, and you can do that too for free, but you have to join the Substack as a paid member. That's the trade-off. But man, when you join my Substack, if you like what's going on now in this, fly by the seat of your pants interview, we don't really, like you said, we don't really have notes. We don't know what we're going to talk about. We just have a conversation, and people either can do that or they can't do that. And I've been doing that for years. So please join the Substack, jbushow.substack.com. Again, jbushow.substack.com.
Right on, brother. Thank you so much for your time. I really enjoyed it.
Absolutely. My pleasure. Anytime, any topic.
I always like talking to Josh. He's I get a kick out of it, and he obviously knows this stuff, knows what's going on. And he's been censored and shut up and shut down by the media and social media and even some alternative media not having him on their shows. Bring it, buddy. You got a home right here. I'm CharLee Simons. You can reach me through, wrong hand. Website right here, charliesimons.com. Get yourself one of these mugs. Get yourself a hat. There's all kinds of mugs and shirts there, and you'll be helping support the show that way. If you buy this merchandise, you help me stay on the air. There's ways that you can just give, too, if you want to support this ministry. And there's also a company I'm involved with that's got naturally derived products, American-made, manufactured right here in the US of A, and that's very important to me. And it's right there. NuevaLife.com/CharLee Simons. NuevaLife.com/CharLee Simons. And they share with me the profits of whatever you buy there. So I pray that you will, and use my full name as the promo code and get yourself a nice little discount. Or just click on that QR code with your camera, with your phone. newwaveoflife.com/CharLee Simons. May God bless you and keep you. May God bless America. But most importantly, America, bless God.